ঠিক আছে স্যার, শুনতে পাচ্ছেন না স্যার? ওকে,
হ্যাঁ শোনা যাচ্ছে, ইউ আর অডিবল। হ্যাঁ
ঠিক আছে, তাহলে শুরু করতে স্যার।
ওকে,
একটু ডিস্টেন্স। Good morning, everyone present here. Respected Principal Sir Dr. Asim Kumar Manna, esteemed guest speaker Dr. Ankita Patra, Assistant Professor Adams University, our IQAC Coordinator and Head Department of Bengali Dr. Gautam Dandopat, Organizing Member and Head Department of Geography Professor Dipankar Jaina, and a dedicated faculty of different department, non-teaching staffs, GB members, research scholars, students, and other participant friends. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all in a webinar themed Global Village Contemporary Issues and Concerns, organized by Department of Sociology, Khejuri College, in association with IQAC Khejuri College. So today we live in a global village. The exposure and the hindrance that comes with the open, unbarred world is a living reality of the day. Almost all of us have been a part in experience the acute consequences of how threatening the proximity of global society can be. Here, Global Village, Contemporary Issues and Concerns somewhere reflect on Ulrich Beck and his attention on the global risk society inherent to the modern world. Risk society, as Ulrich Beck has suggested, are not limited to environmental and health risks alone. It includes the whole series of interrelated risks within contemporary social life, such as shifting employment patterns, heightened job insecurity. Excuse me, sir, there is some problem. Sir, একটু noise হচ্ছে. Okay. Declining influence of tradition and custom, erosion of traditional family patterns, and democratization of personal relation. Since rich society and its hazards are not restricted within one country, in the age of globalization, this risks affect all countries and all social classes. They have global, not merely personal consequence. Focusing on the extensiveness of the crisis, which has and will change the life and social well-being of the people, this webinar looks for apprehending its social impact in a long run. The increasing differences and gap between people, isolation, and lack of social cohesion may obstruct the productive growth of society as a structure. Again, webinar addresses the pros and cons of today's interconnected, interdependent world, the global society, which has been disrupted, causing alterations in every domain, aspect of social life, institution, work, belief system worldwide needs a swift discussion. Focusing on the human dimension of the present crisis, where we think the issues of livelihood, inequality, poverty, and vulnerability of people at individual and community level, and the widening gap between the have and the have-nots requires a re-examination sociologically. So this webinar aims to explore the uncertainty of the future society in its new avatar, where the unpredictability changes in the social behavior action demands a rethinking on the idea of society as such. So this webinar intends to understand the experiences of the present recession on the day-to-day life, where social interaction has reduced, global community is at risk, threat, and danger associated with it contextualizes the present catastrophe COVID-19 that mankind has faced. So the human society being attacked at its core under this extreme disease encountered a major alteration that certainly has surpassed as simply a health emergency, rather a major human social crisis of global concern. So here we basically try to delve into the overarching risks that is looming on the human society, and how will this global, quote unquote, global society fight back together the perils that has been created as a global community. Now I request our principal sir, chairman of today's webinar, to kindly address this gathering with his inaugural speech. Sir, please.
Thank you, Khejuri. আজকের আমাদের ওয়েবিনার গ্লোবাল ভিলেজ কন্টেম্পোরারি ইস্যুজ অ্যান্ড কনসার্নস অত্যন্ত প্রাসঙ্গিক বিষয়। এই বিষয়ে
Please put your microphone off, otherwise it will break the sound.
সবাই নিজের মাইক্রোফোনটা অফ করে দিন প্লিজ।
হ্যালো,
ইয়েস স্যার।
ওকে, অডিবল?
ইয়েস স্যার।
এই যে গ্লোবাল ভিলেজ, কন্টেম্পোরারি ইস্যুজ অ্যান্ড কনসার্নস, অত্যন্ত প্রাসঙ্গিক বিষয় বর্তমানে। কারণ আমরা এতকাল ধরে পৃথিবী তার বিভিন্ন প্রান্তে তার জিওগ্রাফিক এরিয়া অনুযায়ী সেখানে যে সোসাইটি রয়েছে এক একটা এলাকায়, এক একটা দেশে, এক একটা মহাদেশে, সেখানে সেখানকার নিজস্ব একটা কালচার ছিল, তাদের নিজস্ব জলবায়ু আলাদা আলাদা, সেই অনুযায়ী তাদের শিক্ষা, সংস্কৃতি ও কালচার গড়ে উঠেছে। তো আজকের এই প্রাসঙ্গিক বিষয়ে সামনে উপস্থিত হয়েছেন ডক্টর অঙ্কিতা পাত্র, আমার ডিপার্টমেন্টে, এবং সেই সঙ্গে আইকিউএসি এবং কলেজের অন্যান্য যারা শিক্ষক ও শিক্ষাকর্মীবৃন্দ যারা এই ওয়েবিনার সংগঠিত করার জন্য দায়িত্ব গ্রহণ করেছে, তাদের সবাইকে ধন্যবাদ জানাচ্ছি। যারা এখানে উপস্থিত হয়েছেন বিভিন্ন স্কুল, কলেজ ও বিশ্ববিদ্যালয়ের অধ্যাপক, অধ্যাপিকা, গবেষক এবং ছাত্রছাত্রী, আমাদের কলেজের ছাত্রছাত্রীবৃন্দ, তারা নিশ্চয়ই এই বিষয়ে ডক্টর অঙ্কিতা পাত্রের বক্তব্য শুনে এনরিচড হবে, এটা আমার বিশ্বাস। ডক্টর অঙ্কিতা পাত্র অ্যাডামাস ইউনিভার্সিটির অধ্যাপক। আমরা আজকে যে বিষয়, সেই বিষয়ে আমরা দেখছি ডিউ টু ইলেকট্রনিক অ্যান্ড ইলেকট্রিক ডিভাইসেস ডেভেলপ করেছে, সেই জন্য আজকে সারা পৃথিবী একটা ছোট ভিলেজের মতো হয়েছে। আমাদের ভিলেজ কনসেপ্টটাই যে ছোট্ট একটা এরিয়া, সেখানে সমগোত্রীয় সমমানসিকতার কিছু মানুষজন থাকে, তারা একটা নিজস্ব তাদের সেই গ্রামের নিজস্ব একটা সংস্কৃতি থাকে, তাদের কথাবার্তা, তাদের ভাষা, তাদের চিন্তন, সমস্ত কিছু মোটামুটি একটা কাছাকাছি জায়গায় থাকে, এবং সহাবস্থানে কখনো কোনো রকম তাদের সমস্যা হয় না। কিন্তু আমরা দেখতে পাচ্ছি মিডিয়া ডেভেলপমেন্টের ফলে এবং এই ইলেকট্রনিক ডিভাইস ডেভেলপ করার ফলে আমরা গ্রাম থেকে গ্রামান্তরে, রাজ্য থেকে অন্য রাজ্যে, ভিন রাজ্যে, আবার এক দেশ থেকে প্রতিবেশী দেশগুলো ছাড়িয়ে পৃথিবীর দূরতম প্রান্তে আমরা পৌঁছে যাচ্ছি মুহূর্তের মধ্যে। অর্থাৎ গ্রামের মধ্যে কোনো একটা ঘটনা ঘটলে, ছোট্ট একটা ঘটনা ঘটলে, সবাই সেখানে পৌঁছে যায়, সবার কানে সেই খবরটা চলে যায়। দূর প্রান্তের খবরগুলো আসতো না, বহুকাল পরে 6 মাস বাদে যখন ইংল্যান্ড থেকে জাহাজ এখানে ভিড়তো খেজুরি বন্দরে, তখন আমরা ইংল্যান্ডের খবর পেতাম। যখন ইংল্যান্ড থেকে কিংবা অন্য কোনো দেশ থেকে, পোল্যান্ড থেকে গোয়াতে জাহাজ এসে ভিড়তো, তখন চিঠিপত্র আসতো। তারপরে এলো কার্গো প্লেনে চিঠিপত্র আসা যাওয়া। এখন বর্তমানে সেটা আমরা একটা টেলিফোনের মাধ্যমে, অর্থাৎ স্মার্টফোনের মাধ্যমে কয়েক সেকেন্ডের মধ্যে আমরা পৃথিবীর দূরতম প্রান্তের সমস্ত খবর পেয়ে যাচ্ছি। এমনকি শুধু পৃথিবী নয়, পৃথিবীর বাইরেও স্যাটেলাইটে বিভিন্ন গ্রহ থেকে, গ্রহের সঙ্গেও পৃথিবীর মানুষের যোগাযোগ হচ্ছে। ফলে সারা পৃথিবী একটা গ্লোবাল ভিলেজ হয়ে গেছে। গ্লোবাল ভিলেজ হয়ে যাওয়ার অনেক সুবিধে আছে, যেমন সুবিধে আছে তেমনি কিছু অসুবিধা আছে। সুবিধার কথাগুলো আমরা সবাই জানি। একটা আবিষ্কার যদি একটা জায়গায় হয়, আজকে ভারত যদি কোভিডের ভ্যাকসিন তৈরি করে, তাহলে সেই ভ্যাকসিনটা পৌঁছে যাচ্ছে পৃথিবীর অন্যান্য প্রান্তের মানুষের কাছে। আবার অন্যান্য উন্নত দেশগুলো বা বিভিন্ন দেশগুলো যে বিভিন্ন গবেষণা কাজ করছে, তাদের সেই গবেষণার সুফলগুলো আমরাও পেয়ে যাচ্ছি সঙ্গে সঙ্গে। তো সারা পৃথিবীর মধ্যে একটা লেনদেন চলছে এবং সেটা খুব কুইক, আমরা সে অবহিত হতে পারছি। কিন্তু এর একটা খারাপ দিক আছে, সেটা হলো এই যে যেমন কুকথা বা কুৎসা দ্রুত ছড়িয়ে পড়ে, ঠিক তেমনি খারাপ জিনিসগুলো দ্রুত ছড়িয়ে পড়ে। আমরা সাহেবদের অনুকরণে বহু কিছু করি, কলোনিয়াল পিরিয়ডে।
Sir, please on your microphone. You are not audible.
খারাপ দিকটা আমরা গ্রহণ করেছি, ভারতবাসীরা গ্রহণ করেছি, অথচ তারা যে পরিশ্রমী হয়, তারা যে ডেডিকেটেড হয়, সেই ব্যাপারটা কিন্তু আমরা বেশি করে গ্রহণ করতে পারি। ফলে কি হচ্ছে, দেখা যাবে যে এই যে পৃথিবীর বিভিন্ন প্রান্তের, এমনকি একটা দেশের বিভিন্ন প্রান্তের কালচার, হ্যালো হ্যালো,
ইয়েস স্যার।
একটু ডিস্টার্ব হলো।
হ্যাঁ, ঠিক আছে, বলুন।
পৃথিবীর বিভিন্ন প্রান্তের যে কালচার, সেই কালচার গ্রহণ করতে গিয়ে আমরা আমাদের নিজস্ব কালচারটাকে অনেক সময় হারিয়ে ফেলছি। সে সমস্ত ক্ষেত্রেই, সে শুধু বিহেভিয়ারাল নয়, সমস্ত দিক থেকে আমরা সেটা কিন্তু অনেকটা হারিয়ে ফেলছি। তবে নিজস্ব সংস্কৃতি, নিজস্ব কালচার, নিজস্ব বিশ্বাস, মানে একটা ছোট গ্রামের যে বিশ্বাস, যে ধারণা, তাদের যে আচরণ, চাল চলন, খাদ্যাভ্যাস, সবকিছু, সেটা কিন্তু পুরোপুরি বদলে যাওয়ার নয়। সেটা প্রাতিষ্ঠানিকভাবে বদলাবে, সামাজিকভাবে বদলাবে, কিন্তু অন্তঃসলীলা ফল্গুর মতো সেই কালচার কিন্তু থাকবে সেই নিজস্ব এলাকায়। কিন্তু তার তার উপরে ধাক্কা আসবে এই গ্লোবালাইজেশনের ফলে। পৃথিবীর বিভিন্ন দেশের কালচার এসে সারা পৃথিবী জুড়ে একটা জগা খিচুড়ি কালচার তৈরি হওয়ার সম্ভাবনা আছে। সেটা কিন্তু ভালো না, এটা এই খারাপ দিক। এই খারাপ দিকটা বাঁচিয়ে যদি আমরা পৃথিবীর সমস্ত প্রান্তের ভালো জিনিসগুলো সবাই গ্রহণ করার চেষ্টা করি, তাহলে কিন্তু এই গ্লোবালাইজেশনের সার্থকতা আসবে। আমি মনে করি যে আজকের আলোচনায় সেরকম একটা দিক উঠে আসবে যে গ্লোবালাইজেশনের সুফলের দিকটা, কি করে আমরা গ্লোবালাইজেশন টাকে কাজে লাগিয়ে আমরা আমাদের ভিলেজ, যেমন আমাদের সারা বিশ্ব, গ্লোবটাই পুরো আমাদেরই হয়ে উঠুক, একটা সুস্থ কালচার সেখানে তৈরি হোক, এই বিশ্বাস রেখে সবাইকে পুনরায় ধন্যবাদ জানিয়ে, এবং ডক্টর অঙ্কিতা পাত্র, অধ্যাপক অ্যাডামাস ইউনিভার্সিটি, তাকে আমি ধন্যবাদ জানাচ্ছি। আজকে এখন বোধহয় আমরা তার বক্তব্য শুনবো। স্মৃতি রায়।
Thank you, sir, for your insightful thought on the present theme. It's always an inspiration to listen to you, sir. Thank you. Now I request Professor Dipankar Jana, Head Department of Geography and organizing member of this webinar, to deliver his welcome address. Sir?
Thank you, Dr. Rai. Good morning to all assembled over this cyberspace. Revered Principal Dr. Osin Kumar Manna, Chairman of the present webinar, dignified speaker Dr. Ankita Patro, Assistant Professor, Adamas University, our all-time companion, dear Dr. Gautam Dandopat, Coordinator, IQAC, Khejuri College, members of the governing body and IQAC, all assembled dignitaries, principals, professors, staff members, researchers, and dear students. I welcome you all to this state-level webinar on global village, contemporary issues and concerns, organized by the Department of Sociology, Khejuri College, in collaboration with IQAC, Khejuri College. Global village was defined by Marshall McLuhan is the world became like a small world through technology. It describes the phenomenon of the entire world becoming more interconnected as the result of propagation of media technologies throughout the world. The term global village has come to designate the dominant term for expressing a global coexistence altered by transnational commerce, migration, and culture. It is tied together into a single globalized marketplace, and village is another contemporary understanding of the term. The multiplication of far-reaching techniques of communication has two important results. In the first place, it increases the sheer radius of communication so that for certain purposes, the whole civilized world is made the psychological equivalent of a primitive tribe who are having homogeneity in every respect. Here, people moving towards involving personal interaction worldwide and the consequences as they ensure and operate simultaneously with their causes. In it, all parts of the world, as they are being brought together by the internet and other electronic communications, the new reality of the digital age has implication for forming new socially meaningful structures within the context of culture. Interchanging messages. Please put up your microphone, otherwise it is breaking the sounds. Interchanging messages, stories, opinions, posts, and videos through channels on telecommunication pathways can cause miscommunication. I'm hammering the point miscommunication. The increasing density of electronically established and maintained human interconnections can form new socially significant clusters. Electronic media have the ability to impact individuals differently for various reasons, such as for their religion, politics, business, money, etc. The time in which messages are received also affects how a message is understood. However, some questions are raised against the reality of this concept. The main link of the global village, that is internet, is being used for different cyber crimes like theft of financial or card payment data, stealing personal identity, cyber espionage, which is presently on headlines, and there are so many criminal offenses committed with the help of internet. The retired aged persons and the common people are made the soft targets. During the last 1 week, cheating people with false association with popular online sites became news headlines. We are aware of another such recent horrible example of a crime where an internet addicted teenager killed his parents and sisters with assistance from internet. Here the main component of global village, that is internet, it is questioned whether it is efficient for this or for the existence of the term concept global village. Social media platforms are frequently used for trading heart rates against various social groups. Some apps are used against others and even used for money fraud. In recent past, we have seen problems and banning of different apps by the government of India. These are not ideal environment for connectivity. In global market systems, we are seeing disparity instead of homogeneity. We are now habituated to see the delivery of Chinese products by our local delivery personals for online shopping. Such practicing the importers' job market and widen the rift. Homogeneity is a salient feature of retribalization in global village, as stated by McLuhan. A question arises that is it easy to bridge the gap between linguistic, religious, cultural, technological, and developmental differences? In global village, due to globalization, the diversity of local and regional culture may disappear in due course of time. I am eagerly waiting for our learned speaker to throw light on these issues and hope this webinar will be an interactive and fruitful one. Thank you. Please
Thank you,
put up
sir.
your
Thank you,
video
sir,
and
for your address.
microphone.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Dipankar sir.
Thank you, sir, for
Am I audible?
expressing your.
Smriti ma'am,
Yes,
am I
ma'am,
audible?
you are. Yes, ma'am, you are
Sir,
audible.
yeah, Dipankar
I would
sir, due
like
to
to
some.
request one thing, Madam, Sriti Madam.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Please, participant, please put up your video and microphone. While you are not using that, please put up your video and microphone. There is Asim. Asim, please put up your video.
অসীম রঞ্জিত ভিডিওটা অফ করো, ভিডিও অফ করে রাখো।
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Principal Sir, Honorable Dr. Ashim Kumar Mana sir, for the introduction of the topic, and I thank Dipankar Jana sir, respected Dipankar Jana sir, to speak about the topic for today's discussion, and I thank Smriti ma'am also for this. And I want to apologize because my camera is not operational right now due to K7 antivirus, which is why the camera is disabled. Is it okay, Smriti ma'am? Because I mean, I think I'm audible, but my camera is off. I cannot switch it on. Yes.
No problem, ma'am. Okay, I'll before you give your speech, I would like to give your introduction. Then after that, you can deliver your
Yes,
address.
yes. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
So I would like to give a brief introduction of our esteemed speaker, Dr. Ankita Patra. Dr. Ankita Patra is working as an assistant professor at Adams University, Kolkata at present. Dr. Patra has also taught at Ravenshaw University, Cuttack, Odisha, and in UN College of Science and Technology. She was awarded her PhD in Sociology of Religion in 2020 from Pondicherry Central University. The title of her PhD thesis is Devotion, Seva, Ethics and Embodiment, a study of ISKCON in Odisha in Sociology of Religion. She has some important publications and papers in various selected journals to her credit. To mention few like Participation of Youth in Religious Movement, a study of ISKCON in Bhubaneswar, Odisha in the Journal of Research, Extension and Development in 2016. Next, People's Participation in Religious Movement, a case study on ISKCON in Bhubaneswar, Odisha in the journal International Peer-Reviewed Referred Research Journal in 2019. Some of her selected papers include Osa Katha in Chaitra Masa, Odisha, organized by All India Sociological Conference, JNU, New Delhi in 2011. Empowerment of Women, organized by Center for Women's Studies, Pondicherry University, Pondicherry in 2012. Studies on Hare Krishna movement in America, organized by All India Sociological Conference, Karnataka State Open University, Mysore in 2013. So without further delay, since we are eagerly waiting to listen to our speaker, I request eminent guest Dr. Ankita Patra to deliver her talk. Ma'am, please.
Thank you, Smriti, once again. And without further delay, as we all been waiting and we have been being informed about Global Village, so I'll present my PPTs, PowerPoint presentation. And this I have oriented a little bit on the very nuances and the historical or the development of this entire Global Village process for today's presentation. And I'm grateful that the principal sir, our geography sir, Dipankar Jana sir, you and your introduction, you're all gave a wide idea about this entire topic of discussion. But mine is a little bit related to the nuances and the historical part of this entire concept called village, global village. Okay. Now I am sharing the PowerPoint presentation. If it is audible, if it's visible, please. Yeah. Smriti, is it visible?
Yes, ma'am, it's visible, ma'am.
Okay. So, as Global Village, Contemporary Issues and Concerns, I first give an idea to our listeners and our students, which I have come to know that they are from graduation, masters and PhD. Am I correct, Smriti ma'am? Do we have research scholars also? Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Do we have some research scholars also there?
I think there are some.
No, I'm just asking. I mean, they're also part of the discussion, right? Yeah. So, okay. Now, I have just tried to portray, give a picture to our participants that before this entire concept, this very powerful concept of global village has come, and we all are now in a global village situation. What was the scene before that? Because to understand global village or to discuss about global village or to experience global village, we just have to, as students of sociology, we need to just know that how was the world before then, world before the concept of global village. The world before was very segmental. It was all segmental. There were divisions. Markets were localized, as it was informed by our esteemed faculty members, those who said that markets are now homogenized. Yes, previously they were localized and heterogeneous. Why was this? Because we were all in the world were not connected. We all were in our own countries, our own nations, our own society. We produced for our own population. We produced for our own society, for our own country, for our own nation, for our own community. We produced it, we sustained with it, we distributed it, and we benefited from what we produced locally in our village, within our community, within our state. It was all very much localized. So the markets, whether it is economic, whether it is anything that was produced, it was distributed, it remained within the margins of our own community. So before this village or the global or the glocal or this entire concept of thinking that we are all connected, the situation before then was not so. And that is why heterogeneous or heterogeneity, or we can say plural, heterogeneity existed. We all experienced then. I mean, much before, right? We can't say that our generation experienced this sort of heterogeneity, which I am trying to impress upon our participants. The world was heterogeneous because there was variety. All countries, they had their own ideas, their own production, their own commerce. Okay, so we experience then. If somebody had to go around the world, the person will experience heterogeneity, because each community, each country, each nation, they had their own unique ideas and products to present to the world. But then gradually we see the global village concept is coming up, and I have just kind of segmentalized my presentation under these headings. That is the concept and the characteristics, emergence of new global actors, dimensions of globalization, and its consequences in Indian society. Because we are all the students of sociology in Indian society, of course. I mean, we have to keep ourselves informed regarding the process and the concept that happens at the international level, but we are more concerned with the Indian society and the situations and the cases which are peculiar to Indian society. So my slides will go through these 4 dominant themes that I have kind to arrange and speak today. And as we have all seen, the concept and the characteristics, they all came up since 1920s. So much before that, we the society, the intellectuals, the policy planners, as I've written, since 1920s, the term global village and the process globalization has been experienced in academic circles, media, policy planners, and activists. Reaching or talking more about the concept global village, there is a very important process which is ever present, is globalization. I'm sure the graduate students and master students are aware of this process. We are always, these days, we are, now I think the process the concept which should be discussed is post-globalization, because now we are now bearing the fruits and the curses of this process called globalization or the global village. We all know that how the pandemic has taken a toll on the entire world. We are all aware of that. We are not unaware that how the exchange of citizens and people and migrants from one part of the world to other part of the world have affected us. And that was not very much due to digital ideas. That was more because of the physical, the porosity, the porosity of the international countries and the borders. We all keep moving from one country to another, which was major, which was the major reason, which is why pandemic was affected. Has affected the entire world. But if we kind of look at global village, yes, of course, digitalization is a very important aspect to it. I mean, Smriti ma'am started with that, and our esteemed principal sir also emphasized that, and our Mana sir also emphasized that how digitalization has entered our private space that we all are now experiencing, and how it is affecting each section of the population. Is it aged? Is it children? If it is middle or women, men, children, all are swiped into this entire digitalization. But more than that, what I have tried to bring that digitalization, no doubt, is very important. But we also have this movement of physical bodies from one part of the other to other part of the world, and ideas they keep circulating the entire world in the forms of publications, of course, again in digital forum, which we have already started discussion in blogs, in social media, social networks. The ideas are more infectious. They can actually put the unseen. Suddenly we'll be experiencing the unseen, which is happening somewhere in China or America or South America. It will be also a burning topic in India, in West Bengal, in any part of the world. Why? Because the ideas are able to travel from one unknown, not a very popular point to the entire world. And of course, it is all happening in the very digital platform. Never, we cannot get blind of that concept that yes, digitalization is most important. But what is that digital platform is carrying? It's all ideas. And now we have all money, currency, they are also coming in abstract ways. So anyway, so let me focus on my presentation. And since 1920s, we have been dabbling with this concept. And what is more important in academic circles and media, policy planners and activists, it is a pan-world concept. It is just not found only in one part or one country or one nation. It is talked about, it is heard, it is discussed in entire world, this global village concept, or the more importantly, I will always emphasize, the process is very important. The process of globalization is the most important and interesting topic to discuss, because global village is, of course, the product. But what has led us to be in the product is the process and the experiences which we have gone through, or our previous generation has gone through since 1920s, even before that, because of the world wars. And we should not just stay limited to what is happening right now. I mean, definitely it is important, but what has led us to experience the world as it is today? That is the little bit, it's the past of this entire process, and how this concept has gained such an important, and now we are moving towards a post-globalization sort of scenario. It is no more just global village or local. We are crossing that also. So we find that found to bring fast social change and transformation in every society. Smriti, am I online? Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
Am I going too fast for the students? Am I
okay.
speaking too fast? Okay,
no, ma'am,
because
okay.
I want the students. Okay, how much time do I have?
Ma'am, you can speak as much as you can. There's no time limit.
No. I'm going to have it. Yeah. So it is pan world. As I said, the meaning of pan world is related to the entire world. And then as we know that it has been found that fast social change and transformation in every society, country, and nation. I believe we know the difference between society, nation, and country. These three different words, they carry three different meanings. And I'm sure the graduation and the masters know the difference between when I call something country and nation, right? Nation is a very sentimental kind of binding, whereas country, we may or may not have sentimental thing. And German in that sense is a nation. India is still debate. We still debate whether it is a nation or it is a country. We have it in academic circles whether to say India is a nation, because sentimentality and the interconnectedness is important in the concept called nation. And society, of course, because we are students of sociology, we more use of the word society. And because of this global village, and I would like to use more, the process of globalization is very important. The process of globalization, I mean, without talking or using the word process, we kind of get lost. Where is this global village coming from? So marked with interdependence. Next thing we see that because of these processes, because of this rapid exchange of people, of ideas, of commerce, we find that there is an interdependence, interconnectedness, and integration of isolated society to the mainstream society. Okay, there is interdependence. Okay, and there is an interconnectedness because of this interdependence. Okay, and 1920s, it was much before our Second World Wars. Okay, and Second World War and First World War are the most glaring example of this process, even before it was in our books or in our media or academics. Am I clear? These massive wars and the Cold Wars and the geopolitical situations are has left these events in society and in our world has left massive impression on our academics, our art, our culture. Art, culture, and social, these things come much later. They come much later. But the geopolitics, which happens, and it is an independent variable. Geopolitics, if somewhere there is petrol, somewhere there is other mineral, very important mineral in some part of the world, and the natural, I'm sure our speaker, faculty sir, Manas sir will definitely agree to me when I say that the natural resources are not equally distributed around the world, which has actually toppled the geopolitics, and it's an independent variable. Geopolitics is actually kind of controlling the entire world, and the politics and society, culture, they are important, which we are studying and focusing on. That is our interest. That, of course, comes in the later part. But what has all been going before, much before these social or these society or culture and art, are these important historical events which has shaken the world, right? And because we find interdependence of whichever sort, maybe we physically we are interdependent, or in scientific ways we are definitely interdependent on other countries or collaborations. It was not always that our country, it is recent phenomenon that concepts like biotechnology or the event where the school, the universities are contributing to scientific invention. If we look at the science and technology policies in India, it is one of the papers being taught at the graduate level, like science and technology policy, masters, I believe masters must be studying. Master students must be aware that when we look at the science and technology policies in India, this entire collaboration of universities and with the other research institute is very much recent. 70s or 80s only it happened, but much before, during the independence of our country, 1947, when Nehru was the prime minister, they all depended on foreign collaboration, foreign funding, right? So globalization, the process of globalization has entered various dimensions of the society. It is not just art and culture. Art and culture is there. So social, cultural lag and all these concepts which we have studied in our elementary +2 and graduation level, what is culture, what is cultural lag? Why are these so important? Where do we find cultural lag? What is cultural lag? Cultural lag is a gap, right? It's a gap that the society experiences when the material culture and the non-material culture are having a friction. Why? Because in India, we are materially advanced, but at a mental level, we still carry some of the traditional ideas, which is good for us. We don't have to feel bad or great or sad about it. All the countries, all the third world countries, second world countries, we are scientifically very much advanced. Now look, we all are having a discussion on the internet. but we all also have our own families, our own traditional roles to play. We have our joint families, we have our village, our community associated with that. So we all go through an experience of cultural lag, no doubt about it. But why this is there? We always have to look back. We have to understand those processes which has led us to experience the world as it is today. Right? So that is where we say that interdependence was definitely interdependence. Our country also had interdependence for scientific labs and fundings from foreign countries, collaboration from Russia, collaboration from Germany with American universities. Right now, our university is collaborating. Now we are having NEP, the National Education Policy 2020. We are kind of mocking, or we are sharing, we are getting inspired by the American pedagogy. So interdependence, if we talk about interdependence of globalization or global village, it was then even 1920s, it was even in the middle of the century, and right now also we are interdependent on the foreign or international institutions and bodies. I mean, institutional bodies, educational bodies, or we'll see in the next slides. It is just not education or science. Economically, health-wise, we have other institutions which we all are interdependent on, and hence we move to next, interconnectedness. Definitely, when we have interdependentness, there has to be interconnectedness, and then there is an integration of isolated societies. Now, because of this global village, okay, with the mainstream society, what I mean, those who are dominant meaning those who shape the world, those who shape the economy of the world, those who shape the politics of the world. They are American. I mean, for Cold War, we know that it was bipolar. Russia and America was there. So these were the two major countries which were actually controlling the entire world, its politics, the flow of money, the flow of ideas, the flow of people, which countries people and the flow of money, flow of ideas, they will control. And the rest of the countries will follow the dominant countries or the nations or the societies. So when this globalization was happening, and yet the global village was not seen. The next point I have written is global village is unseen, but is felt. Right? We don't see global village. Do we see any global village anywhere? No, we feel it. We feel it. Like suppose I will say Adamas University or Khejuri College. We can see it. It is very much visible to us, right? But we can't say that, yeah, this is a village, this is a global village. We all feel it because the dominant societies or the dominant technologically powerful countries, economically powerful countries in scientific, scientifically, those who are more powerful, they kind of brought all the smaller, less powerful countries into their wings. I mean, if we look at the east of Europe, there are small, insignificant countries which were definitely affected after the Second World War, and they all, you know, they even if they are not having an independent identity, but they were all with Russia, America, Russia, their own politics. What to do? So one has to get in aligned with the mainstream centered, more dominant countries to get money, to get any sort of technology, or if a disaster happens, like right now, any pandemic effects, we have to interdepend on the dominant and better well-off countries or our neighboring countries or those who can help. So this very present experience which we are going through, it was also experienced right in the beginning of our century also, right? And that is why I said that global village is unseen. We can't say that, yes, the global village has this address, or yes, it is existing here. We cannot say that, but we all feel it. We all feel it. We experience that, yes, we all are. If I write an article here, it will be published in some American or some Russian or some German journal. Or if somebody is working on Indian society, we're sitting in some Nordic countries in Netherlands or Swiss, Finland, if they are working, or Sweden, they can get themselves published in Indian, working on Indian situation and get published themselves in some other journal. So we can't see it, but we all feel that, yes, global village is something that all of us, we are experiencing. And the term global, it's an adjective. It is an adjective. It first appeared in 1940s, origin in French and American writers in 60s. Globalism, globalization was observed in Malcolm Waters. Global village, as we have already been informed by our senior speakers like Luhan, as a metaphor, global village to more united world community. And 1980s, it started to gain popularity in the academic circles. And of course, the sociological interpretations after Cold War and with fast galvanization of commerce and ideas brought tectonic changes. Robertson, the first sociologist to define the term unicity or global unicity. Uni is always, we understand, by one. And the things which came along with these kind of ideas were global connectivity and global consciousness. Then we all started to feel this. I cannot even say we, because our generation is the generation which is enjoying the fruits and the curse of global village. But our previous generation, our senior 2-3 generations, they must have actually experienced this process. When this process was being imposed on their lives, their personal lives, their social life, they have experienced more. But our generations and the graduates and masters right now, those who are listening to it, they are actually, we are enjoying the fruits of this process. But I believe the other senior listeners, those who are there, they must have experienced it. They must have gone through this kind of global process, and they have gone through the process, and they are also seeing what is the global village more than our generation. That on a lighter note, I would like to say. And what are the characteristics of this? There was de-territorialization. That was the first thing. What has actually, it was then, and now again a pandemic like COVID is one of the reasons that means borderless, free flow of goods, services, capital, people, information across the countries and nations, right? It is borderless. You can travel from country to country. I don't have to hammer on this one concept. We all understand. We all move as tourists, as scientists, as workers, as migrants, immigrants. We all move from one country to country. And that was first. Now, of course, we are doing it at a digital base. Liberalization is a free economy from the regulation of the state, removal of restriction, rules and regulations imposed by the state. This is another very important, this is now a very important process which the world has undergone, because each country, as I had said in the first slide, that each country was segmental. We were very localized. We had our own rules and regulation, our own banks, which didn't matter much to other countries. But after liberalization and in 1990s in India, we had to open the gates to the world and the international bodies. We were again interdependent. And the removal of restrictions and the kind of rules and regulations which our country underwent, it was regulated by the international bodies and the economic and politics of the international level. Then free trade. We exchange free flow of goods, services, and expansion of economic activities and markets took place because of the ideas such as free trade, which happened to take place. non-economic nature of global villages and the process of globalization. Now, these are more of economic in character because we move or we have liberalization, free trade, which deals with the economic sphere, the economic domain of human society or human beings or any country. But what are the non-economic natures? What are the non-economic, which we as social students or student of history and philosophy, we will be dealing with this aspect of global villages: universality, antiquity, irreversibility, continuity, multidimensional. It is not always related to one dimension of human society, diffusive, homogenization, and top-down process. This top-down process is also important. Top-down process is when the international domain or international level affects our country, fine. But then also, if certain country is having some strong voice or some event happens in one country, it also precipitates and affects the entire world. For example, the pandemic that we all are going through, it definitely happened in Wuhan, in China, one small place, but then it affected the entire world. Now, Pegasus, a virus which has come in, it happened in Israel. It happened in one lab, it happened, but now it is affecting Indian politics and parts of Indian society. So there is always a top-down process. We cannot say that, okay, globalization, the entire world will affect each country. There's also the reverse, which also takes place, right? And as universality, we have been speaking about it, that universality is part of globalization. Antiquity, that the history, the past, is also the part of this process, because we've been seeing the major events in last century has affected our recent society, our recent understanding of the world, and irreversible. It is irreversible. It cannot go back. We cannot reverse the processes. Once you are part of this globalization process, or you are part of a citizen of global village, your entire lifestyle, your outlook and worldview, as we say, the worldview changes, and there is a continuity, and the changes takes place one after the other, and they are all correlated. We cannot, I mean, now if we say that we all have smartphones, we all are carrying smartphones with us. It was not there few decades before. Now with that, now everybody has to get a smartphone, because education is now being imparted on smartphones. Whether you have a computer or a laptop is secondary, but smartphone is the need of the hour. It is the need of the hour. I mean, it goes unsaid. Continuously, certain changes will be happening one after the other. It will be just following. And as citizens, as individuals, as social beings, we have to tap on those changes that is happening due to globalization, which leads to global villages. And of course, multidimensionality. It may start with geopolitics or economics or politics at the international level, but then it trickled down to our everyday life and everyday living. Our everyday living, we will be experiencing if our diet, the sense of what we eat is undergoing a change. It is a very minute change if we look at bigger issues in our society and our countries. But our diet has undergone a change. The way we dress, the way we balance the gender has undergone change. The gender equation, the understanding of man-woman relationship was definitely different 40, 30 years ago, but now it has a different scene altogether. Why is it so? Where did it all come from? The idea of entertainment, the idea of leisure, the idea of empowerment, the idea of well-being, the idea of health. All these have undergone changes. It was not, these ideas have changed within a century, within 50 years, even from the time of our independence till 80s and 90s and right now. Now the idea of well-being has changed. When last 2 years, the idea of health and cleanliness and hygiene and sanitization, if, as they say, if we Google the idea of what is this sanitization, what is health, it has undergone a change within 2 years, in a year, because of pandemic. And I am sure the students of the college, if they are following the Sunday special of any newspaper, those newspapers are more interesting than the main newspaper. Why? Because those newspapers, they try to capture the everyday changes, no matter in the way we dress, entertainment, or other insignificant things, but they affect our everyday life. And there are changes. Okay, and there are diffusive. They diffuse. I mean, of course, from multidimensionality, we can connect to this word diffuse. They get blend. And homogenization. Of course, homogenization is one of the blessing and also a curse of this global village. Wherever you will go, you will find one brand for any issue. One brand to be there in every part of the world. McDonald's, you will find it everywhere. Pizza Hut, you will find it everywhere. Dell, you will find it everywhere. It must have come from some country, but it is being used and reused in all the parts of the world. Homogenization is one of the most outstanding and most experienced aspect of globalization. And of course, top-down, I discussed in the first part of this slide. Emergence of new global actors. These are the, be told, but they were the founding gatekeepers, as I have used. Now, this world's gatekeepers, they started with this. These are the organizations where this sort of homogenization or the dominance of the dominant over the other minute or non-dominant countries took place through these organizations, MNCs and INGOs. And what are the dimensions? Then I come to the another slide where I talk about the dimensions. Dimensions, as we have been discussing: economic, cultural, homogenization, harmonization, identification, and hybridization. Hybridization is important because of too much of blending and merging of different cultures to create new and original cultural products that's experienced, as seen in all over the part of the global village, like global tourism, McDonald's, MTV culture is seen everywhere in the world. So there is a new kind, we see emergence of a new kind of, a new group of ideas and cultural products, because there is this process of hybridization which has taken place. And harmonization, to some extent, we have experienced, because the societies come to know each other, because there has been a flow of people and ideas and capital and commerce. So there is some sense of harmonization among the countries which wouldn't have been friends if we don't have a global village. Social, we find that they are more pronounced. When we talk about the social dimension, of course, we have spoken over the economic dimensions. When we talk about social dimensions, we see they are more pronounced. We see them, they are very much conspicuous in the society. What does that mean? Changes which were unanticipated were seen in the face of global village due to the process of globalization. Intra and intermigration led to the exposure of the migrants to new culture and lifestyle. There was an exchange of newness. So when people started moving, they experienced, they saw the world in their own ways, and they experienced, and they got back to their own countries, and they had the narrations of their own experiences, which they saw it in different lands. So there was always the migration and change in identity due to emergence of new process. Now, what did this led to? There was change in identity. There was change in identity. We didn't stick to only our country or our nation. We were more having international ideas and international identity associated with our own individual identity. I can be citizen of 2 countries. Now, if I am citizen of 2 countries, then definitely I am vulnerable to the ideas and the facilities given by both the countries. Right? So I cannot say that, okay, I will be truly Indian. No, if I am Indian, I can also have American ideas in my mind and in my heart. I can also appreciate their culture, their way of living, and then try to impose it in our country, in my society, or in my family, or in my personal level, or in my personal domain. Okay? And marked rise in alienation. We can say this is the negative side of this entire global village, which we've been dabbling with. We experienced alienation, exploitation, and commodification of human life and nature. Now, this is where, again, we look at the negative side of having a global village. We are so interconnected that if exploitation happens at one point or one country, it affects the entire world. It affects the entire world. Alienation, of course, we understand what is alienation. I mean, graduation students and master students will know what is alienation. Karl Marx gave us the idea of this concept called alienation. We alienated ourselves from the, we feel alienated. Is a psychological process. It is again not seen, but we all feel that we are alienated. Even though we are in a global village, but we still feel singular. We still feel singular, lonely, left out, because everything is happening in the digital domain. Parties are happening in the digital domain. Hello? Hello? Am I audible? Is there a problem?
Yes, ma'am, you are audible. No, ma'am. Please continue, ma'am.
I think I have few slides left. It will get over. Yeah. So there is a mark of alienation, exploitation, and commodification. We all feel alienated, like it's a psychological process, as just now I told. We all know about this very famous popular word. And exploitation and, of course, commodification is happening, which affects the human life. So this is a major negative side of global village, or the process globalization. Technological dimension. Now, this is, of course, the most talked about dimension. But why? I mean, why is there technological dimension? Because of the advancement of the ICT, information communication technology. I've written it in short form. Innovation and communication and technology, digitalization of commerce and ideas. This is the recent manifestation of this digitalization of commerce and ideas, where we find cryptocurrencies. Cryptocurrencies are those things which we are all having these abstract currencies. Okay, and interconnectedness, of course, it's a common word that we will be running through all the slides. And then we have environmental issues, which is, of course, exploitation of natural resources. It has to be there. Otherwise, plus or minus, positive or negative, we are dependent on the exhaustive and non-exhaustive source of nature. Right? We are more dependent on the exhaustive for fuel, our everyday living. We are all dependent on petrol, coal, wood, and we have overused it. We have exhausted it. We have abused the nature, which is why we are all undergoing this exploitation. And of course, again, the pandemic is a glaring example of the wrong way of engaging with nature and animals. political resources, again, regionalization of the power is broken and melted away. Smriti ma'am, is the slide visible? Is it visible or it is stopped?
Yes, ma'am, it's visible.
Can anybody visible? Okay, because I thought, for if we don't change or something, it will go away. I thought like that. Okay. And it is broken. Because the political resources, we cannot be any more regional. The power structure in the societies, they have broken because the international influence on national and state level politics is also manifested and felt. Right? And those kind of parochial thinking has to be given up in a global village, right? Because the societies will demand their political leaders to give them or to help them to enjoy the national level and the international level of facilities to lead their life. We cannot say that no, because you are from this community or because you are from this caste or because you are from this village, you cannot avail the international facilities. Because why? Internet is available everywhere. There are national players, national merchants, those who are trying to get into the village and lanes of every part of the country to give you the internet facility. And of course, the other, not of course, blindfolding the politicization of these facilities. It is, of course, comes with politics. But why is that? Because we are demanding it from our political leaders to help us to reach to international level through internet. If we cannot go because of high price, at least we can reach out to the international pool of resource through internet facility, through digital facility, for healthcare, for education, for business purpose. We are depending on our political leaders. And political leaders, they cannot just keep us in dark for long. And hence we have competitions, vigorous competitions happening at our political domain. Politics and political order cannot remain immune to the world politics anymore. Or more, we can say the facilities and the benefits of international levels. And what are the consequences? The important consequences are governance, environment, global security, and women. By women, I would like to say that the marginalized, because it is the marginalized, after all, bear the burns of global village or globalization. Now that's where the next slides leads us to, and we have talked much about it, that what is global village and governance, the very consequences, that because it is centralized. Just now I spoke centralized governance loosened due to the globalization and other important old and important institutions affect our economy. And more importantly, these days we see corporate domain dominates the governance. The corporatization of school level education is a massive thing which India is experiencing within a decade. Corporatization of school level education, corporatization of health, corporatization at university and college level education and health are one of the most, because education and health are most important for any country's backbone. Of course, defense and economy are there, but then if education and health of any society is affected, then the economy also suffers, right? And corporate dominates the governance. And then global village and environment, as we have already discussed, internationalization, economic colonization often has jeopardized the environment and the ecology. natural resource scarcity, pollution, and many more pushes the world to the brink of global warming. These are very popular concepts which we all have studied in our school days, in our masters and graduations. We all study the effect of global warming and why this global warming is happening, why so rapid, why such rapidly it is happening. Yeah, why so rapidly happening? Because of the cutthroat competition which is happening at the international level, national level, and state level. We all are plundering the natural resources without any ethics. And then, of course, we have the questions of ethics also when we discuss about globalization or global village. Because if we say global village, it's a very blanket, right? You understand blanket concept? We cannot impose one ethic on the entire world. What will be those ethics? They will be primarily affecting the or related to the environment and security. These will be the two important theme where you don't have to think much about ethics. I mean, it has to be one ethic that save the environment. Whichever part of the world you are, if you are a citizen of global village, if you say that we are from global village, then you have to think about the environment and the global security. But other aspects, whether it is economy, whether it is politics, whether it is about health and marginalized, they are all different. There is still diversity experienced and seen in global village. Just by telling we are all people from global village, we have all homogenized. No, it's not so. It's not so. We still have diversities. Because we are from global village, are we free from our racial look? No, Americans still look like Americans, Indians still look like Indians, Chinese still look like the Chinese, because we all are from different races. We have different racial makeup. We still have our own cultural specificity. Right? We all still have our own family structure. We have our own limitations. Just because we are global village, just because we are all using digital, we cannot, close our eyes that, oh, we don't have any diversity. Yes, we have still diversity. And that is where we will have these questions of ethics. Something which is good in my society and my country may not be equally accepted in your country. It is not. I mean, digitalization, of course, is part of this dominant theme. But having said that, we cannot say that, oh, we are completely immune to the diversity which we experience, right? Then we have this next slide, global health and global security. These are the important and common concern all over the world. We cannot have the risk of having a third world war. It has already taken place at a different domain altogether. At a biological level, we can say, or in a technological level, it won't be as bloody or blood shading like the other two world wars or Cold War. It has already taken, it is unipolar kind of thing which is happening, and we have our own predicaments regarding the third world or the third world war country where no blood is seen, but everybody is affected to the core, right? Then it has mixed effects. Concepts like sustainable development has gained popularity. Of course, we know this is another important concept which has gained importance in our curriculum, in our consciousness. Whatever we are happening using, it has to be sustainable. Just by telling that, oh, we are global village or we are advanced, we are digital, we have to sustain it. We have to keep it alive. We have to see that we are enjoying the resources and we spare some of the resources for our forthcoming generation. Right? That is called sustainable. Then WHO, World Bank are shaping the world for better reason. Pandemics, such as pandemics and HIV and many other such widespread illnesses are experienced due to global winds. Global winds, I mean, metaphorically, I've written this. Then globalization has contextual effect on poverty, because that is where I say that diversity is experienced. The level of poverty, the level of happiness, the level of well-being is all different in every part of the society. The way we experience it or we express it are different. We cannot break free from those limitations in our country. We all are in a global village, but the kind of health policies, the kind of internet policies, the kind of policies regarding homosexuality, it's a very glaring thing that is there in our society, also in America. The way homosexuality or the way poverty is experienced and understood in a country like India, it is different from America or Europeans or Russians. We all are part of global village, but still there are certain contexts, different in context. And of course, globalization and women is a very, very important topic in academics and policy planners and international bodies like UN or United Nations and all. We have separate topics for that, which I won't delve deeper in this because it's not directly part of it, of our today's discussion. And both affects the exploitation and empowerment as it is experienced. Marginalized women are often exploited, and already the elite women restore the position. Now, again, this is where we find diversity in a global village. Because as we say, the rich get richer and the poor gets poorer, right? The elite women, or we can say the middle class women or the higher middle class women or the elite, they already have the resource. So they benefit more rapidly in a global village than women or the marginalized in a global village. We cannot say that, because we all are in women global village, we all have equal access to internet or equal access to technology. We cannot say like that because we fall back on money, we fall back on education, we don't know how to deal with a cell phone, or we don't even have proper modes of communication, right? And that is where affected due to global village, like marginalized, meaning the aged or the children or differently able, they will always remain and they will be always the center of concern for any society or any international organization which claims that we are part of global village. This section is affected most, and they also have physical aspect, economic aspect, health and emotional aspects. Physically, they are very vulnerable. Economic wise, again, these groups are affected because they are dependent. Okay, and health aspect. In India, these are the most important group who are affected. No matter how dominant group they come from or minority group they come from, but women of these or marginalized section of these of Indian society or any society for that instance, mostly of our Indian society, they will suffer or they are affected despite or even due to global village in these aspects: physical aspect, economic aspect, health aspect. Of course, there is an health aspect and emotional aspects also. So with this, I think I end my presentation and I welcome any questions or queries that if our esteemed listeners have. And thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. So
yes,
with this
Smriti, ma'am.
enchanting, yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. So with this enchanting discussion, all of us are enriched to listen to your inestimable knowledge on contemporary problems. So your analysis of global process from pre-modernization era to present era, touching almost every aspect from geopolitical, environmental, socio-cultural interdependence, interconnectedness has been very informative. So, with your refined knowledge and expertise and your reflection on the multiple dimension of the present problem certainly informed us. It was indeed an illuminating discussion. So, ma'am, there might be some questions, queries. So, from the participant, which we like to place before you for your further clarification, explanation. So, for that, I would like to request. So for that, I would like to request Professor Priyanka Gupta, ma'am, Faculty Department of Sociology, to conduct the Q&A session.
Yes, ma'am.
Over to Priyanka, ma'am. Ma'am, Priyanka, ma'am.
Hello.
Oh, okay, ma'am. Is there any questions, ma'am?
Am I audible to everyone?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Good morning, ma'am.
Is there any questions, ma'am?
No question has arisen yet. On behalf of our students and who have participants on this webinar, so no question has arisen yet.
So in that case, if anyone
was I too fast? That's nice. Maybe that case. Maybe I was too fast for this
No,
student side.
No.
Okay.
It was.
Thank you so much.
So shall I ask one question then?
Please, okay, welcome. I welcome you.
So as you said, ma'am, modernity has brought like new global risks, problems, forces which are beyond the control of humanity. Like you said about environmental risks produced by humans, like nuclear, like radiation, carbon emission, climate change, toxic plastic, ozone synthesis, like some of the problems that we are facing. So, which has posed invisible or say indetectable consequence threat open the humanity. So as being human or humans being the significant influencer on this planet, so how far do you regard this present catastrophe, this pandemic, as a man-made risks or risks produced by human behavior or say manufactured risks? So what is your take on it, ma'am?
Yes, it is very much man-made issue. It is man-made issue. And on the other side, we are also seeing, and it is visible, and we are experiencing the resilience against the pandemic. The scientists have also worked with their fraternity to come up with vaccination, and the kind of administration level, or we can say the looking at the positive. There is always a debate. Death is a question, a debatable thing, because we say that government, they publish different death rate. That was also there, been discussed in the media. But we see that yes, it is man-made and again controlled by man. It might have started by the callousness of the human beings and some scientists, but it is again controlled by human being to some extent. And as human being, we are working at our own level to control it. I mean, I can't say that this is beyond my, this is too big a question to be at my level. I think, senior professors can give better understanding. I mean, yes.
Okay, ma'am. Okay.
Yeah.
Priyanka,
thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your reply, ma'am. Okay. Priyanka, ma'am. Priyanka?
Say.
I think there is some question from Sir Rangit, sir. So you can read out the question for ma'am.
Rongit sir has raised a question for our guest speaker, that is between the social of the local difference and hence focusing on local struggles and an upholding of so-called globalized systems of capitalist imperialism, like for example WHO. What is the possibility of developing a sustainable, non-hegemonic, egalitarian global civilization?
No. Please repeat the question once more. Repeat the question once more. The last 3 words which you used. What is the question? Does he want to speak on him?
Between the spousal of the local difference, and hence focusing on local struggle and upholding of so-called globalized systems of capitalist imperialism, like, for example, WHO. What is the possibility of developing a sustainable, non-hegemonic, egalitarian global civilization?
Okay. I want to say something. When we look at the theoretical part of sociology, okay, when we speak about, is the concerned participant present, the esteemed person, he asked the question?
Yes,
is he present there?
Yeah. Ma'am,
So,
I basically want to, ma'am, let me clarify. I wanted to address this fact that you talked about, on one hand, on local differences, and on the other hand, you also focused on, say, for example, WHO and other more global systems of comprehensive, the organs or agents of comprehensive global change. But as we all know, that these organizations are all permeated with certain hegemonic systems of power, and hence inequity. So I wanted to ask, especially from the point of view of third world civilizations like ours own, what is the alternative that we can think of between localized systems of differences that we all know prevalent in various parts of, for example, South Asia, and the globalized
I'll come to it. I'll come to it.
Thank
two
you,
parts. I'll speak to, Thank you so much. This is quite an interesting question, I'll tell you, because there are these two things which I as a student of sociology, I heard it from my professors, and those who gave an interesting thing, that there are two parts. One is academics and one is activism, right? The question that you are coming, you pull from your reading and your awareness about the society is dealing more with activism, right? When you're asking that, what is the alternate of all these debate? Like, one side we have local struggle against the hegemony of the internationalism. We will go. That is where the activism is coming. We'll deal with it. But as far as academics concerned, we are hand-bound, okay? We will be studying, engaging with the forms of possibilities. So I am not actually answering to your question, or I can say I am not able to answer to the nature of question that you have asked. But yes, I can say that activists all over the world, they always come up with certain alternate ways to loosen this struggle, to pacify this kind of struggle. And these struggles are, of course, very much necessary in democracy, or we can say where we are all part of global village. So coming with alternate, like somebody will ask, will poverty end in India, in world? What would you say? Will hegemony end? Hegemony is a part, it is a concept which human society experiences. Right? We all experience it in our everyday life. The question is not whether we will do away with hegemony or poverty or pollution, but the question as student of sociology is, in what context hegemony is being discussed? In what context hegemony is empowering me, or it is not empowering me, or it is benefiting me, or it is not benefiting me? Because hegemony is part of our human society, right? We cannot always say that, okay, any institution, for example, empowerment of women. Empowerment of women is very important, everybody will say. But then, in what context women empowerment is empowering my daily life or my daily living? Am I feeling enriched? Or am I feeling even more burdened because I am working and having a family and have to attend to various things? Okay, I'm empowered. So doing away with hegemony we cannot pose this question in academics that okay, whether we will do away with it, or is there an alternate setup or arrangement to do away with it. But there will be another part of academics, definitely an informed one, those who will say, with hegemony, in what context are we discussing hegemony? Is it not benefiting some part? Who is more? And then we will see that the frontliner activists are more dabbling with it. Some part of this segment are benefiting because of hegemony, or they are earning their livelihood. Or is it just an abstract concept? Why empowerment of women in India has not been as successful as in other countries? Who were the first runner of these ideas in a country? So I cannot derive a direct answer. Is there an alternative? No, I am not an activist, firstly. And in academics, we will be looking into the forms and nooks and corners of these concepts and how are they being, played out in a modern society, in a postmodern society, and maybe in a pandemic. Because it's a pandemic and because hegemony is there, the flow of money and the flow of help and financial security or vaccination is there. We cannot actually think something, okay, we cannot, we won't surrender to hegemony, or we won't surrender to some kind of thing in real life. So there lies. I mean, I cannot give you a direct yes or no kind of answer to your question, sir.
Thank you, ma'am, for your response. I was especially thinking about the present situation, where, as you have rightly pointed out, as we being academicians, we often kind of separate our theoretical, often objective look at society from direct activism. But as you well know, that in the present circumstances, when, especially in the pandemic situation, when we are seeing a kind of overlap between perhaps our theoretical praxis and the direct consequences of those praxis in the present world. And what I had in mind was not perhaps directly coercive hegemonic systems, but perhaps more pervasive systems of power that would even kind of enunciate themselves through discourses and knowledge systems. For example, medical systems. And when in a globalized world, for example, in a pandemic situation, when we are, for example, we all have to come under certain vaccine protocols, as we all know that those protocols are being set up in individual nations, but they are being supervised, and there is also a global setup which creates systems of inequity and differences. That is what I had in mind when I talked about the local and the global. I do obviously accept your answer, and
yes, but I'll tell you that you are correct. But I see that the looking at as we have all in our first class of later on also we realize that to look at this thing as it is, sociology we all studied, to look at the reality as it is, first thing, not ought to be, what might have been, what could have been. So we see that in a society with different layers, in India, in a democracy, we see there are people in the top level, they benefit. They benefit because of their money, because of the political connections, because of their influence, because of their family background. They kind of take the best of fruits even in a pandemic. Right. So multi-layered society, in multi-layered society, and when we concern ourselves with understanding, first we need to understand in academics, what's that? We have to understand, study. Definitely academics then gets into activism. All the activists, we see that they have grounded themselves in academics. Right, that is true. But now at my level of understanding, I will keep myself with understanding the thing and looking at the phenomenon. How is it playing it out? True, that's true.
Thank you,
Thank you so much
for your response. I'm Rangeet from the Department of English.
Yes, yes.
And
Okay.
we would look forward to further collaborations from you. I expect that when the pandemic would be over, you would be at our college, and we would
Sure,
have
sure. That is such a warm appreciation, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
ma'am.
Yeah. Any other questions, Smriti ma'am?
Ma'am, I think there is no questions.
Okay.
Okay,
Lovely.
so
Thank you.
thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Rangit sir, for the question. So with this fruitful discussion, thought-provoking deliberations, we are at the end of today's program. I'm thankful to Ankita ma'am for giving us time despite of her busy schedule. So I thank everyone present here for patiently listening to us and being with us. So please don't forget to fill up the feedback form before you leave. The link for which is given in the chat box. So now I again request Professor Priyanka Gupta ma'am to deliver a vote of thanks. Ma'am, please.
Hello, good afternoon to one and all in this gathering. And it is such a pleasure for me for being here. And thanks to the organizing committee for hearing me back again and in this vote of thanks session of the webinar on today. Firstly, I would like to thank I would like to extend my warm regards to Dr. Ankita Batra for being a part of this webinar as a guest speaker who has deliberately delivered her precious speech on the proposed topic, which was Global Village, Contemporary Issues and Concerns. The valuable informations along with the affirmations which has covered by her regarding the topic is really help us to know about the present scenario of contemporary world. Especially, it will help us to interpret the global issues in the context of this MS pandemic situation across the globe. Now, lastly, I would like to show my gratitude to her once again because it is really fortunate to us that she has evaluated her valuable time from her busy circumference of her agenda. Thank you.